Welcome back, Sloths. See, it's the end of the month. It's not even the end of the month, and I can't speak. Welcome, sleuths, suspects, and witnesses. We're back for another edition of our wacky mystery party. We're having this is so much fun. I get to hear some really great books, and you do too. And I hope you're all enjoying it as much as I am. Just to remind you, this is our nightly schedule for the evening. I try to keep to it as closely as I can. We'll get you out of here in about an hour or so, so you can get on with the rest of your life without too much interruption. Tonight, we have two wonderful authors reading. Michael Beardslee will be reading for us from his book, Bad Hombre. And Marianne Wieland will be reading for us from her book, Gerard's Descent. And that's exactly where we're going to start tonight. Ladies first, Marianne, can you hold up your book so we can see it?
Oh, yes.
Gerard's Descent, a little bit closer. Excellent. Gerard's Descent. Marianne is going to be reading for us tonight. Please, ma'am, when you are ready, you have about 8 minutes. Take the microphone and read aloud.
All right. Gerard's Descent, Chapter 17. Brenda was in her classroom explaining the exam process to her students when she saw Gerard looking through the window. Quick, everyone, see that man looking through the window? Brenda could tell that he couldn't see inside, hence the pressing of his face into the glass. Extend your middle finger and give our guests an official Beaumont High School welcome. 35 students did as they were told, some very apprehensive in the process. Brenda turned the lights out so that Gerard could see the big welcome he was being given. Brenda could tell the exact moment that Gerard saw he was being given the bird by all her students. His lower jaw dropped and he took a step backwards. Brenda decided to go one better, and she turned her back to the window, lifted the skirt portion of her sundress, and mooned Gerard. She heard the collective gasp from her students about the same time she realized she had crossed the line. She had never done that before in her entire teaching career. She would so do that in her personal life, but she had worked hard to keep personal and professional lives separate. This would get back to the school board. She could apologize to the students and she could ask them not to tell, but that would be worse than what she had just done. I am so sorry you all had to witness that total lack of professionalism. Brenda straightened her skirt and faced her class. I think I have explained the rules to next week's exam thoroughly and with clarity. If you have any questions, please refer to these handouts. She proceeded to pass out the papers in a dignified manner, and when she was finished, she faced the classroom once again. She noticed Gerard was no longer at the window. Class, I wish you the best of luck on the exam, and I suggest you use this weekend to study hard. I feel certain that come next week, I will not be the one issuing it. I know you have the prom tomorrow night, but remember, especially you seniors, don't ruin the chance of a real future by getting wasted and doing something stupid. Brenda held her head high, gave a short nod to the room full of shocked students, and softly closed the door behind her as she left the room. She walked at a moderate pace all the way to the other side of the school, straight to Principal Mamie Gray's office. She figured she'd better put on her big girl panties and confess now, before Mamie heard the version that was sure to circulate through the school by the time the next period started. Gerard stood by the rental car, next to Ben, his bodyguard, who was looking at him and scratching his head. Now, I know I comes from the streets of Chicago, and I ain't educated like you. But what be wrong with you, man? Ben kept looking from Gerard to the school. You be lucky she ain't called the cops on yourself looking in the school window like that. Did she see you looking in? Yep, said Gerard, looking at Ben, and then he started to laugh. He was laughing so hard he doubled over with his hands on his knees. What you be seeing in there? What'd she do, man? Gerard told Ben what had happened between more peals of laughter until Ben heard the whole story. Ben was laughing by the end of the tale so hard he was pounding his fist on the hood of the rental car, making a dent. Both men stopped laughing as soon as they saw Brenda and Mamie Gray exit the building and head in their direction. Oh, man, Gerard! Ben started to shuffle around nervously. Look what you done did. We be in for it now. She done gone and got Miss Mamie. She be bringing out the big guns. We be going down. Shut up, Ben, said Gerard in his irritated way. I got this. He stood up straight and tugged a little on his tie like he was fixing himself for a job interview, which in his mind he just might be. He'd been hoping to convince Brenda to let him escort her to the prom tomorrow night as a co-chaperone. Ben was sweating and wringing his hands. Ladies, said Gerard with a smirk on his face. Butthead, said Brenda with a smirk of equal arrogance on her face. Brenda, Mamie snapped and put her hands on her hips, staring them both down. I cannot tell you how ashamed I am at the three of you. Now, wait a minute, said Ben. I be minding my own business. How I know Gerard gonna make Miss Brenda? I would shut my mouth right now, Ben, if I were you. Mamie took a step toward him and pointed her finger at Ben's 6'8" chest. Guilt by association. You are with him. Isn't it your job to keep him out of trouble? Ben dropped his head and stared at his feet. Yes, it be my job. It is my job, corrected Mamie. Your job? Ben was confused. How it be your job? Mamie started to respond and then shook her head. She noticed Brenda and Gerard were shooting daggers at each other with their eyes. So, what have the two of you got to say for yourselves? Asked Mamie, in as calm a voice as she could. Yeah, said Brenda with a cocky little flip of her shoulder. What have you got to say for yourself, slick? Gerard was aghast. Myself? What have I got to say for myself? He started to gesture toward the school windows. I was just looking in the window to see if you were even in class and received a whole flock of birds and a moon looking back at me. Not what I expected. Not what you expected. Brenda stepped forward and Ben jumped out of the way. What did you think you would see? You've treated me like crap for over 2 months, and you thought you would see me welcome you with open arms? What was I supposed to say to the class? Well, after what you did, I hope it was something like, hey, class, excuse me, I've gone stupid. Gerard was imitating Brenda. Ben made to get in the middle of what was turning into a nasty fight, but Mamie stared him down. Now, I have a pretty good tolerance level for immaturity, but I've had about enough of you two. Mamie put a hand on Brenda's shoulder and on Gerard's arm. The truce starts now. What do you mean by that, crack? Said Gerard. Brenda, said Mamie, ignoring Gerard, you have to know this is going to get to the school board as soon as Monday. It will be out of my hands when it does. In the meantime, you are to still chaperone the prom tomorrow night, and Gerard will be your date. Now, hold on, sister, said Gerard, holding out his hands and backing up. Oh, Gerard, you done it now, man, said Ben, looking at Mamie in a worried look. Mamie stepped toward Ben. And you will be my date. She said this with a finality that neither of the three of them dared argue with. Then she stalked away. Lord, Lord, Ben started to pace. That just goes to show you what my granny said be true. If you can't stay out of somebody else's business, you sure get into business. Now we got to go to a high school prom. Gerard, what you go and do that for anyhow? Gerard ignored Ben and put both hands on Brenda's shoulders. Brenda, I just wanted to apologize to you for the way I treated you back in the spring. I have so many hang-ups and twisted thoughts going through my head. I took a lot out on you. You are so young, but in many ways much wiser than I. Brenda stared back at him. You know you have probably cost me my job. She hesitated. She took a deep breath. Let me rephrase that. I made the poor choice to react in a childish manner to your looking in my classroom window, and I made the conscious choice to involve my students in the game, as well as expose myself to the public. I am sorry too. Where do we go from here? Gerard ran his finger down Brenda's cheek. Brenda shut her eyes and leaned into Gerard's touch. We go to the prom tomorrow night. And that's it.
Well done. Super fun. Yay! Thank you very, very much.
That was fun.
That was fun. So, Marianne's book, again, hold it up for us, is Gerard's Descent. Yay, there you go. Okay, next, Michael Beardslee is going to be reading from his book, Bad Hombre. Do you have a copy to show us? Hold it up just a little closer to the screen. There we go. Bad Hombre by Michael Beardslee. Okay, Michael, when you are ready, you have about 8 minutes. Please take the microphone and read aloud.
A trip to Pellets, September 29th, 1969. I was so worked up about the band float meeting that for a second or two, I had almost forgotten that today was my 17th birthday. Now, is my birthday a special day for me, you ask? Yes and no. Well, I enjoy the fact that it is my day, and I came into the world by way of McLaren Hospital in Flint, Michigan, just a few weeks before former and late United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower won the 1952 election. Any birthday celebration for me, however, is very low key. Certainly nothing compared to my sister Katie's birthday. Now that is a major production in the Beardslee household. There are definite things I do enjoy about my birthday, and a memory or two that makes me dread this annual day of the year. The most favorite moment in my birthday history is the birthday cake that my mother would bake for me. This is an angel food cake that has thick pink stripes of frosting on the side. But what made that birthday treat so great was that my mother would take pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and a couple Ben Franklin half-dollar pieces, wrap them up in wax paper, and then bake them as part of the cake. So when you got a slice of this delicious tasting birthday treat set on your plate, there would be a piece of wax paper, two if you were really lucky, in the piece covering up a certain coin that was compliments of the United States Mint. Whatever amount of money that your piece of cake contained, that lucky person got to keep all to themselves. For all the years that this tradition had taken place, I never once got a piece of angel food cake that contained a 50-cent piece. Who was getting all my Ben Franklins? Jim Coop, my marching band buddy, over the course of the last 3 years, has pulled in 5 of these mini fortunes. Katie got the other 50-center, whereupon she immediately used that money to purchase me a bottle of M&S soda, orange, my favorite flavor. What did Jim Coop do with the financial haul that he was getting as a result of my birthday cake? I believe the exact quote with a big smile on his face went something like this: "Happy birthday, Beardslee. Now I got to go out and get me some smokes. You're welcome." Surprisingly, my least favorite part of my birthday is when it comes to receiving presents. The yearly question from my mother of, "What do you want for your birthday, Michael Kevin Beardslee?" always seemed to bring a grimace to her face when I would respond, "Could you please renew my sporting news magazine for another year?" Reluctantly, and I mean extremely reluctantly, this favorite weekly publication of mine will somehow remain friends with me for another 52 weeks. And of course, there is a federally mandated birthday gift from your parents that I have no use for at all. Then it's time to sit back and see if I can get a reservation for Katie's birthday festivities next March. Other than for the start of the school year, I never ask for school clothes. Not for my birthday, not for Christmas. I learned the hard way to get down on my knees the night before my birthday and pray that I do not get new threads on my special day of the year. Let me fill you in why that is. When I was in 7th grade, September 29th came around, and on that day, it was time for me to open my gifts. One present was from my mother, and it's a short sleeve shirt that, for a lack of better description, a prism colored shirt. It had some green, dark pink, some blue tin in it. Not a half bad shirt parade around the hallways of the Fenton Junior High School. After holding up my brand new short sleeve prison colored shirt, my mother said to me and the rest of the Beardslee family, "Now, Mike, when you get into trouble with the police, any witnesses that the police talk to you will not be able to accurately describe what clothes you were wearing. One witness will say you had a dark pink shirt on. Another observer will say it was green in color. And the last onlooker will say it was a blue sweater. So the police will not be able to identify you." The dining room became very quiet after my mother's pronouncement that her oldest son was going to grow up to lead a life of crime and have his picture hanging in every post office in the United States. I swore that very moment on a stack of sporting news magazines that I would never wear that shirt in my life. Not even the confession at St. John's Church. Luckily, I was not the resident of White Lake Road that got into trouble over this birthday shirt. Katie knew that I was upset about what was said to me by my mother. She also was smart enough to know that at an early age, at some point in her life, she was going to have to either look over or take care of her older brother when he reached his elderly stage of his existence. And that birthday shirt might have been the start of this curse for her. The next day, after getting home from another rock'em sock'em day at State Road Elementary School, Katie went to my room, grabbed my new prison colored shirt, got on her bicycle, pedaled her little fifth grade legs all the way to Pellets, a clothing store in downtown Fenton, Michigan. Katie then proceeded to exchange this shirt for a bright yellow long sleeve shirt. Upon arriving back to White Lake Road, Katie was on the end of a stern lecture from my mother for a whole bunch of criminal acts, but mainly for riding her bike 3 miles into town without her permission and not telling her where she had disappeared.
Hello?
It's not me, right? He
It was a
froze.
one-armed man.
He froze. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Yeah, I thought it was me.
Michael, come back to us. Michael, come back to us. Come back to us.
Click some heels 3 times real fast.
Oh no. Okay, I have a feeling his technology has failed him. But we are very grateful for Michael reading for us tonight. It was
still really nice.
It was. I wanted to hear
Yeah.
how it ended. I was looking forward to the ending.
And
His video was
Oh, he
freezing.
jumped off.
So
Yeah, his
sad.
video was freezing for a while.
No.
Maybe it's a cliffhanger and he did it on purpose.
There you go.
With this group, I wouldn't put it past any of you. So Michael Beardslee, his book is Bad Hombre. Check it out when you get an opportunity. All right, we are going on to yet another rousing rendition of The Case of the Assassinated Author. Andrew Allen Smith stole the sardonic manuscript. This much has been verified. Then he was assassinated. Yes, his dead body is laying in the middle of the library room floor, except I don't think it's there anymore. I think they took it off to autopsy. We'll see. Who is the culprit? Why did they do the deed? We have 8 suspects. Chloe Holliday, Melinda Falgo, Ruby Fink. Christopher Gare is our undercover detective, but I'm adding him to the suspect pool because I can. Amy Kelso, who is strangely absent this evening. Jules Nelson, Marianne Wieland, and Deborah Reed, who is also strangely absent this evening. Our intrepid detective, Officer Christopher Gare, is with us tonight again, as he has been all month. He tells me he has an update on the case. Christopher?
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and psychotic murderer. I'd like to inform you that the lab still hasn't released the type of poison used on Andrew Smith, nor do they, am I still, yeah, I'm on, right? Good, okay. Nor do they have any working theories yet, mostly because someone bought a new Keurig for the lab, and everyone went a little nuts shopping at Target and Aldi for flavored coffee and hot chocolate. I'm told, incidentally, that Tootsie Roll flavored hot cocoa is the current favorite, apparently on sale at Aldi. A short recap of last night found Deborah Reed graciously accepting my heartfelt apology for suspecting she could ever be a mastermind behind a crime when she's clearly not even capable of successfully robbing a 7-Eleven with a clerk who mistakenly locked themselves in the bathroom with no toilet paper and a sink with no running water. Can you spell shoplifting? She can't without an editor. The big surprise of the night was Marianne, who confirmed her run-in with celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay and admitting to butchering the top of the man's finger, which gives entirely new meaning to the phrase, just the tip. I believe it's safe for us to assume that nothing comes between Marianne and her libido. This fact has once again thrust her into the spotlight, harder and faster, and harder and harder and faster. Is it me or is it getting warm in here? Than ever before. Ruby was questioned and once again came down with yet another case of fuzzy brain. Oddly enough, her powers work just fine when it comes to locating books with treasure maps that could lead to untold riches, but couldn't help her walking into the library and pushing a door marked pull. Finally, for those of you wondering about Miss Kelso's absence last night, she was attending an armed rally for librarians against more than 30 decibels and got into a shushing contest with Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Suffice to say, happened, and both women stayed overnight in our lockup for repeatedly telling each other to eat and die. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher Gare, for that very investigative update on our scary little murder case here. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I am now opening the floor. Turn on your microphones, please. And who has the first question? Chloe, please help me.
Yeah, I was gone last night, but it was probably really good to step back and think about it. And there are a couple things that came to me, and I'm just going to throw them out there because they might be useful. The first one was this 246, and it just seems funny that we keep getting this "it's a page" explanation when earlier it was completely a mystery. And when you look at numerology, then this is a number that is supposed to represent new spiritual life. And I don't think you can get any more spiritual than to be dead. And so I think maybe that Ruby inadvertently prophesied that Andrew was going to be killed. And since 246 is considered by numerologists a feminine number, it makes me wonder if it was a woman who in fact did it. Now, I watched last night's replay and I thought it was really, really interesting that Marianne might have the hots for Andrew, the stud muffin, and is certain that her grandmother would also have the hots for Andrew, the stud muffin. And earlier we heard that people thought that Deborah was protesting too much and that there were sparks between her and Andrew. We also know that Andrew went around waving this book to all the women, and the book is called, just think about it, The Way of Antiquities. And it makes me wonder if we're thinking about this all wrong, and that Andrew and Andrew's death and the manuscript theft might not be the same person. Maybe Andrew, with his Way of the Antiquities and all these sparks, maybe he is a silver-haired gigolo and he was advertising. And maybe when he died, because someone was jealous of the attention he was getting, maybe the person who took the book was just an opportunist and not the same person who killed him at all. Just thought I'd throw that out.
These are remarkable theories. Holy moly. So we have the insinuation of the possibility of a love triangle gone wrong. Not
Maybe more than a triangle.
the parallelogram? I'm so confused. All right. Does anybody else have any questions to add to our discussion?
I mean, I was going to say that I was regretting that I hadn't let Amy throw Andrew out, but now I'm just flabbergasted.
It's an evening of let's all take a collective breath and try to inhale. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything to add to our wacky discussion here? Marianne, go ahead.
Okay. I might as well just put this out there because the only people that I will tell you a little bit about Mr. Smith. When he came to the library, that was not the first time I saw him. The only people that know this would be what I'm about to say is Jules and Amy, because they're my best friends at the library. Officer Gare asked me yesterday if I had any other cafes. Well, I mentioned the two that I have, but I forgot to mention the ones in Buffalo and Hoboken. But I also own the club, or you might call it a bar, across the street, Mona's Place. And Jules and Amy know that, but I don't think I circulated that. But I did see Mr. Smith in there the night before he came to the library. And he was fine. He was fine as one. He had those tight pants on, so tight they looked like they were painted on, and his shirt unbuttoned halfway down his chest. And
Family
those
show,
gold-
family show, family
Advertising.
show.
It's advertising.
And
Family
those
show.
gold chains that he had around his neck, he was just fine. And I was looking at him through my one-way window from my office. And well, Officer Gare, you were there. So, and I believe I did see Ruby over in the corner as well, but you know, I'm keeping quiet. And so I was looking forward when I saw Mr. Smith come into the library the next day. I thought, oh, I saw him through that glass door that connects to the library. I thought,
Just
oh,
like body heat, right?
yeah, he's coming this way. And I thought, oh, here he comes. And so I batted my eyes a few times, and he was just so amazing until he opened his mouth. And then once he opened his mouth, he never shut it. And as provocative as I'd like to think I am, I saw Deborah coming in behind him. And now you can all tell that I don't have a lot of competition, but that skinny blonde reporter is definitely a contender for his emotions. I'm probably the only person that might be
Any combination of those. So if you don't want to do him, you just black olive and mushroom or cheese and black olive and cheese and mushroom.
Now,
Finish your thought.
Jules would be a contender, but she never leaves her office. She's probably one of the most beautiful girls around. So I'm glad she stays in her office. But let me just say, you know, those were some people that were at my place across the street, Mona's place. And that was my grandmother's place, Desdemona Smythe. And so
Okay,
I just put that out there.
I'm loving all this backstory. I'm trying to figure out how it works into the murder. I'm gonna have to watch the replay tonight to
Actually,
figure out all the.
If I could interject one
Do
quick.
you have any connecting dots, Christopher?
No, I'm actually very grateful that Marianne was sharing all that, because it reminded me she did get a call earlier, but I wasn't able to convey the message that you missed your AA meeting last night and they'd like you there tomorrow.
I will take that into consideration.
All right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Officer Gare.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to add to the conversation? Anybody? Please.
I actually have
Please,
a
somebody save me.
question for Chloe.
Yes.
Chloe, I'm a little puzzled by something you had mentioned, I think it was 2 nights ago, because you weren't here last night. Somebody had asked you about that list of people that you had acquired.
Right.
And you had mentioned that no one gave you a physical list, but you sat there with them over coffee because you were interested as an author in what they might have to say. And somehow during this conversation, they managed to go over an entire list of people with you, which doesn't set well with me, because that type of list would be something that be confidential. So I'm kind of wondering how you acquired an entire list, because it certainly was not from having coffee with somebody.
Yeah. Does Sotheby's really make their lists public?
I don't know that they do, but I think it's very common for authors and insiders to get information. It's not illegal like insider stock trading. And I think people just maybe sometimes talk a little more than they should. And, you know, I may have had coffee, but maybe she had a lot more at the bar there across the street. So maybe that explains it.
Well, let me nail you down with this one then. Were you given a physical copy of that list to see for yourself?
I have nothing to say about that.
Intriguing.
Indeed. Does anybody, we've got time for like one more question. Melinda, please save me. Turn on your microphone. No, turn on your
No,
microphone.
you got. We
dear.
can't hear. We can't hear.
Microphone.
Can't hear you. Unmute. Oh no, she froze. Oh no. No, come back to us.
I said only if you
Melinda.
have Samoas, but you know,
Okay,
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 I'm
Melinda,
nice, so I'll do
start-
it anyway.
Melinda, start over because you froze and we lost your sound. Start over.
I said I'll start over again only if you have Samoas, but even if you don't, because I know you don't like those,
Yeah.
I'll start over.
Sorry. Thank you.
All right. So I have a question because something came up yesterday and I was a little fuzzy, kind of like Ruby, because of all of the traveling I was doing and everything. But there was a train of thought that started to occur to me with Marianne, and we were talking about different spices.
I lost her again. Oh my gosh.
And things like that. And she started talking, oh goodness gracious, what was his name? Lumbo? Where his family from. And then I started thinking about spices that could mimic poisons that have a very similar
Oh, this is so frustrating.
name to spices like cinnamon that Officer Garrett. And I was like, could Marianne have had access to spices that have done away with Mr. Smith?
So
Question in there.
yeah, so Melinda, we were losing your connection every now and then. So if there's a direct question, can you put it in the chat? Because we were losing you.
I felt like we were living in how her head actually speaks to her.
that could be entirely possible. So Mark says, Jules, did you notice if someone was conveniently walking away from the group near the circulation desk when Andrew died?
Actually didn't notice because me and Amy were talking. So yeah, I didn't notice anything that was up. We were actually thinking there was going to be an announcement or something. So we were chatting. So I didn't see anything.
So Melinda, to answer your question, did Marianne have access to spices that could have poisoned Smith? I think everybody at this point has access. We just don't know who has access to what. So we'll figure it out as we go on. I think we need to stop there for this evening.
There was one from Mackenzie really quick. She's asked it a couple times. She just said, if we know for sure it's not a slow acting poison. And I told her that I think we're going under the assumption it's fast acting until we get back the toxicology report. Is that correct?
Yeah, Christopher, that is correct, right? We're waiting for toxicology to send us back the report on that.
I'll give everybody an update tomorrow night too.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. Thank
Question?
you, everybody. This has been so much fun. I hope Andrew can, make a smooth transition from the living world to the dead world and back again. I know that that's a tough thing to do. There he is. Excellent. So thank you everybody for playing our game. Thank you everybody for having so much fun with it. I love it when you guys throw stuff at me I don't know, because then it's improv live theater, and I just love this. This is super, super fun. So again, we are where am I? I'm so confused. Okay, let me share my screen again one more time.
I have a question that has to
yeah.
do with the. I just want to know if Angela found the mushrooms. No? Okay. I was just curious.
Marianne certainly did.
Oh, pardon me.
I have to wrangle you rhinos back into place now, please. Okay, here we go. So who did it? We're gonna come back again tomorrow at 7 o'clock to ask more questions, get more answers, and maybe learn stuff about people we didn't know we needed to know. Collect your clues by watching the replays for intense scrutiny on our Facebook page, our website, our YouTube channel. And again, this goes on until the 27th, so we've still got some more time to figure out what's going on here. Our scavenger hunt is something else we're doing all month long. Every day, a new door opens with new riddles for you to answer. You'll find the answers to those riddles hidden in the titles of the books that we read each night. So if you're not sure, go back and watch the replays and you'll be able to figure it out. Thank you, Riddle Master Jacob Bulling, for helping me with this insanity, because wow, so much insanity this month. There's the updated dead body, you guys. Deborah Reed has 146 fingerprints. Amy Cutso has 141. And Andrew Annan Smith has collected 136 fingerprints. Congratulations to all of the authors who have gotten to the heart of the case so far. The fingerprint contest. Here we are with tonight's hand. Chloe, you're at 99. You're so close from the heart of the matter. Just so close. 95 with Jennifer Rinaldi. 89 for Emma. 82 for Christopher and Mark Love. And 77 for Ruby. Yay! So far, we've had a 446 pairs of eyes in our insanity. So that's been pretty super fun. Just so you have the recap, here's the witness ledger. Here's how many people have been coming in each night. Super, super fun. In just a minute, we are going to spin the spinning wheel of happiness and give away some books. If you find your name on the spinning wheel of happiness and collecting loot tonight, please send your mailing address to me in an email to Diana@pagespromotions.com, and we will get those books out to you by March 5th. We've been asking a not so lightning round question every night, just so everybody can get to know each other a little bit, and we can have even just a little bit more fun every night. So tonight, because we all seem to be laughing way more than we deserve, I'm going to try and keep it going. Let's think about all the happy things we do when we celebrate the release of a new book. Think about the last book release you had, or the first book release you had. What was the most extravagant way that you celebrated being published? Christopher Gare, you go first.
Actually, I do the same thing for each book. I will go out and I will have a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup ice cream sundae.
Good choice. I like it. I like it. I'm going to try that. Mark McCraw, how do you celebrate?
Really just taking a picture and just being excited about it coming out, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Pictures are good. They last forever. Marianne Wieland.
Yeah, I really haven't done a lot. Kind of like Mark, just take a picture of it, put it out on Facebook, let everybody know it's out. That's about it. I haven't made a big deal too much about any.
Shouting from the rooftops is fun. We have a good time doing that. Chloe Holiday, how about you, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm not a very extravagant person, actually. And I'm not in a point where I can fling a lot around either. But I take the day off, and that is extravagant to me because I'm like an Australian shepherd on caffeine. I'm going. And so a day off is shocking, but that's what I do.
Awesome. I like that. That visual, very good. Very good. I like it. Jules Nelson, how do you celebrate?
Well, both times that I published a book, we had an exchange student here and my daughter was home. So when I hit that send and it was like all official, then we poured a drink into our extravagantly fancy glasses and cheers, usually at like 2 a.m. But, you know, it's pretty fun for us.
Awesome. Well done. Jennifer Wilcock, how do you celebrate?
The first two books I had a party.
Nice. Parties are good.
But the last ones I haven't really done much.
Well, you can make up for lost time. Gary Floyd.
The first one is that I wrote, which never got published or whatever, but I actually opened up a bottle of champagne and I still have the cork.
Nice. Very nice. Mandy Joe, what about you?
Actually nothing real exciting. I just take a pic and put it out on social media.
So low key in everything you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Rains, how did you celebrate when you published?
I think I'm pretty low key, but I walk around with a smile on my face all day.
That's pretty extravagant. I like that. Jen Rinaldi, how do you celebrate?
Well, since this is my first, I'm a virgin, and it's a family program, so I won't go any further.
And I appreciate that. Thank you for playing our game. Angela Spears, how do you celebrate?
Usually go out to dinner with a friend so I could talk about it, get it on my system, and I eat something healthy because I've been stressed.
Okay, that's fair. Ruby Fink, how about you?
Well, the first one, Levi wanted to celebrate by taking me out to dinner. And then after I published the next couple books, I told him there's going to be about 20 more after this. He's like, oh, well, maybe I can't do that every single time. So it's become gradually more low key as each book comes out. Now I just take a nap because I'm tired.
Taking a nap is a good way to celebrate. I like that. Melinda, how do you celebrate?
So my husband, before he realized that, this could be like a real job, he promised me that when I published my first book, that we would celebrate at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And we have yet to do that. And I am now 11, 12 books down the line. So I don't really do anything because I'm always looking to the next title. Life is a moving train and I jump on board. I'm on it for the ride. I don't have a particular celebration in mind. I'm just in it for the journey. And
well done. Nice. I like it. I like it. Michael Beardslee, do you celebrate?
Diana, can I ask you a question before I answer your question?
Sure.
My computer went kablooey. So did I get through my read through?
Unfortunately, no, the whole reading wasn't recorded. And what we may do is have you come back on the on the night of the big reveal, and we may have you read a portion again. I'll see if I can fit that into the schedule.
Okay, I understand. So to answer your question, very low key, I actually start to worry about the next one.
Okay.
The next book coming.
Preemptive
so that's what I do. I guess that's.
Lots of us do that preemptive worrying thing. Preeti, how do you celebrate?
Preeti says, I talk with my friends on a conference call.
Awesome. Sharing with friends is always a good way to celebrate. And Andrew, how do you celebrate?
I start another book. But I think the next time I finish, I should fly down to Louisiana and take Melinda and her husband out for Ruth Chris. It's too long to go without a good steak.
Just take her, since he's stiffed her all this time.
I can do that too. After all, I supposedly am a big playboy. Baby. We are two wild and crazy guys.
Well done. I like it. If anybody's interested, the first time I published, I celebrated with a night out at the Melting Pot with fondue. I had a pot of cheese and a pot of chocolate, and my editor and I celebrated together, and we had a really good time. Since then, I don't really celebrate much anymore. I just kind of go, oh, look, a book, and then move on to the next book. So there you have it. Thank you, everybody, for playing our not so lightning round game. It's always fun to learn about everybody. I have a good time. Okay, we are going to give away books. And just because I missed what I was doing and I was laughing too hard from our interrogation, if I've already closed the share screen. So if your name shows up on the wheel, please send your mailing address to me at diana@pagespromotions.com. I think it's up there. Where? There, right there. diana@pagespromotions.com. Okay, let me share my spinny wheel of happiness, and we are going to give away some books.
Don't forget to flip the switch.
Thank you.
Press that button.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. Okay, Christopher, can you see the wheel?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so the first book is going to be Michael Beardslee's Bad Hombre, and the second one is going to be for Marianne Wieland's Gerard's Descent. So here's for Michael's book. And you know what? I have a sneaky suspicion that Michael already owns that book, so we're going to spin the wheel again. You have his book too, so I need to spin it again.
Spin again.
So much fun.
Is there anybody who doesn't have that book?
Hold on,
Score.
let me spin it again. Here we go. There we go.
Go ahead and say it.
What?
I expected her to say she had it too.
No, I don't have that one.
Okay.
It's probably just as well because she's a big fan, sounds like.
All right. I've added Andrew and Michael back to the wheel, and we're going to spin it now for Marianne's book. Ready? Here we go. Okay, so a reminder, everybody, even if you've already sent me your address because you've won previously in the month, please send it to me again because my email is my to-do list. If it's not in my email, it probably won't get done. Thank you, everybody. This has been so much fun. Before we leave, I would like to hear closing statements from our fine cast of suspects. Andrew.
I'm torn, but I think I'm going to do this anyway.
Wait, torn between two lovers?
Could be.
Sorry, I had to. It was just sitting
3
there.
or 4 lovers.
It was sitting there.
3,
Waiting.
4, 5, 6. Wait, 2, 4, 6. That's how many there were. 246.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick on Melinda for a second, something that she said, and then I'm going to drop the thought completely. I had some rather devastating news last night, and it reminded me of exactly what was said. Everybody here, if you are an author, even if you're a reader, try to be that person that's always pushing the envelope and going a little bit further, that's not waiting for tomorrow, that's not waiting for retirement, that's not waiting for next week. Be everything that you can be every day, and just take every day and squeeze the life out of it, because it's gone before you know it. And I'm going to leave it there and not go any further to get depressing, but just remember that tomorrow's not promised. Let's live life like there is no tomorrow.
Absolutely. And for reinforcement on those thoughts daily, check out 29000sunsets.com. Christopher, closing words?
Well, after listening to Andrew, something along those lines, sure. Kind of riffing on what he said. 2 things came to mind. One, I remember the MSU shootings last week. My coworker was the aunt of one of the victims, And we had gone to the funeral for that on a bunch of the coworkers on Friday. 40,000 students at that campus, you never think it's going to be someone you know. My parents, both gone, deceased now, had saved and saved and saved for years for their retirements. My father ended up with Alzheimer's for 7 years. My mom lasted 3 years after he went. And I've kind of gotten this thing I believe in now of I work to live, I don't live to work, because I want to enjoy what I can when I can, because you really don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's part of why I do these festivals, is so that we can bring a little bit of laughter to our lives every day. Jules, anything to add?
Can't think of a thing to add after all that. So
Okay. Marianne.
Yeah, everything that everyone has said. Being a nurse most of my career, you really don't know what's coming the next day. You can be in the hospital and receive hope and everything, but everything can change at the drop of a hat. You just don't know. And the same thing taking care of my mother with Alzheimer's. I understand Christopher's situation. You have them one day as one person and they turn into someone else. You just don't know.
Absolutely.
So you should live every day as well as you can.
Every moment. Chloe, do you have anything to say before we go?
No, not today.
Okay, awesome. And Melinda, we'll close out with you, my dear. Do you have anything? Ruby, I'm sorry, Ruby, go ahead. Ruby.
Well, I'll keep it quick. I am excited to finally be reading tomorrow. And I'm going to be practicing a bit because a few of the voices are a little difficult to switch between. Oh.
You're going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I've heard you read. You're going to be fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I'm skipping way into the middle of the book so I can get all the characters just for the fun of it.
That'll be super fun. Have fun rehearsing. I know
Yeah.
rehearsal is a lot of fun. We have a good
Yep.
time with that. Melinda, anything before we go? Oh no, Melinda, you've frozen again.
I don't know if my internet will cut out. I love you all.
I love you all back. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you for always making the unpredictable happiness in my evening. This is a great way for me to spend every night. I hope you guys are having fun too. Sure seems like it. Have a good night. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.
Night.